Kenya Airways Flight 507 was a scheduled Abidjan-Douala Nairobi passenger service, operated with a Boeing 737-800, that crashed in the initial stage of his second leg on May 5, 2007, immediately after takeoff from Douala International Airport. The plane broke up into small pieces and came to rest mostly submerged in a mangrove swamp, 5.4 kilometres to the south of the end of the Douala International Airport's runway 12. There were no survivors. The investigation by the Cameroon Civil Aviation Authority determined that the pilots failed to notice incorrect excessive bank following takeoff. This led to the loss of control and crash of the aircraft. After the crash, the flight route designation was changed from KQ507 to KQ504 for flights between Douala and Nairobi with the same aircraft type. Aircraft: the aircraft involved in the accident, registration 5YKYA, was a Boeing 737-8AL that was equipped with twin CFM-56-7B26 powerplants. The airframe first flew on October 9, 2006, and was delivered to Kenya Airways on October 27 the same year. The aircraft was 6 months old at the time of the accident. It was one of 3 Boeing 737-800 Kenya Airways had recently acquired from Singapore Aircraft Leasing Enterprise. The 52-year-old pilot and commander who had logged 8,500 hours on jetliner and co-pilot had joined the airline 20 years and 1 year, respectively, before the accident. Crash: Flight 507 was one of 3 scheduled to depart from Douala Airport around midnight that day, the other 2 being operated by Cameroon Airlines and Royal Air Maroc. The aircrew of the Cameroonian and the Moroccan companies elected to wait for the weather to improve, while the Kenya Airways crew decided to take off, perhaps because they had already been delayed over an hour. The aircraft departed Douala at 23:06 Greenwich Mean Time on May 5. The flight was due to arrive in Nairobi at 3:15 Greenwich Mean Time. Contact with the plane was lost soon after takeoff from Douala. Kenya Airways set up a crisis management center at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Nairobi. On May 7, Cameroon State Radio interrupted broadcasts to report that the wreckage of the plane had been found near Mvang, southwest of the capital Yaoundé. Copyright, only to say later it could not confirm the report. Later that day, Kenya Airways officials reported that the wreckage of the aircraft had been found 5.42 kilometers south of the end of the airport's runway 12, some 120 kilometers from the site mentioned in the earlier radio broadcasts. The wreckage was found on May 6 in a swamp, some 20 kilometers southeast of Douala, submerged under mud and water. There were no survivors. Furthermore, Kenya Airways Group Managing Director Titus Naikuni said in Nairobi that local people had led rescuers to the crash site. "We are told the aircraft was covered by a canopy of trees, and that was the delay in sighting the crash site," he said. Cameroon's Minister of State for Territorial Administration Hamidou Yamarafa told a news conference that day, "All I can say for now is that the wreckage of the plane has been located in the small village of Mbangapongo, in the Douala 3 subdivision. We are putting in place rescue measures." Civil Protection Service of Cameroon's Director Jean-Pierre Nana claimed that there are no chances that there will be any survivors because almost the entire body of the plane was buried inside the swamp. Kenya Airways reported that 29 bodies had been recovered from the crash site, while reports from Cameroon claimed that over 40 had been recovered. Workers reported that the bodies were badly disfigured, and that identification would be difficult. Heavy rains in the area continued to hamper all efforts. Investigation: the Cameroonian government established a technical commission of inquiry to investigate the accident. The National Transportation Safety Board of the United States sent a GO team to assist with the investigation. Early attention as to the cause of the crash centered on the possibility of dual-engine flameout during heavy weather. Several clues pointed in this direction, including the time the plane was in the air, the distress call issued by the aircraft, the meteorological conditions at the time of the crash, and the nose-down position of the wreckage. The investigators theorized that this would be consistent with the plane losing power in both engines, attempting to glide back to the airport, and stalling during the attempt. Other experts theorized that lightning had played a role in the crash. On May 8, 2007, Kenya Airways chief pilot James Zuma told a news conference in Nairobi that Kenyan investigators believe the jet crashed about 30 seconds after takeoff. Officials in Cameroon said earlier that they lost contact with the jet 13 minutes into the flight. The flight data recorder was recovered on May 7. Kenya subsequently requested that the black box be analyzed in Canada rather than in the United States or in any European country, with the reason stated being the ongoing conflict between Boeing versus Airbus in the global airliner marketplace. Kenya also stressed that Canada's bilingual nature would ease communications between it, French-speaking Cameroon, and English-speaking Kenya. The analysis did take place in Canada and was completed on May 30, 2007, though the results of the analysis were not immediately disclosed because only Cameroon may release such data per the Convention on International Civil Aviation. On May 12, 2007, DNA testing of relatives of the victims began in Douala. It was later revealed that DNA testing would be conducted in Bosnia, given the neutrality of this country regarding the nationality of the victims. The cockpit voice recorder took much longer to locate, as it was buried in 15 meters of mud, amidst the wreckage of the cockpit. It was eventually located on June 15, 2007 and prepared for transport to Canada for examination as the FDR had been. On June 29, 2007, an article appeared in the Business Daily Africa which said that the pilots had been exonerated from blame in the crash. The article did not state who had exonerated them or why. The article also said that examination of the FDR showed no mechanical failures on the plane, implied that weather was the sole reason for the crash, and that the CVR had not yet been recovered, despite widespread reporting 13 days earlier that it had been. As of April 22, 2008, Kenya Airways said it has yet to be provided any report about cause of the crash by investigators. The Cameroon Civil Aviation Authority released its final report of the crash on April 28, 2010. The investigation found that the aircraft departed without receiving clearance from air traffic control. The captain, who was the flying pilot, corrected right bank several times after takeoff. After 42 seconds of flight, the captain gave a command indicating that he activated the autopilot. However, the autopilot did not actually engage, nor was the command acknowledged by the co-pilot. The pilots did not notice that the aircraft was increasingly banking to the right from 11 degrees when the captain indicated that he had set the autopilot to 34 degrees when a bank angle warning sounded 40 seconds later. The captain then activated the autopilot, but his inputs on the controls led to a further increase in the bank angle. The aircraft pitched nose down after it reached a height of 2,900 feet with 115-degree right bank. The two pilots used opposite and conflicting control inputs to attempt to recover the aircraft. The aircraft crashed at 287 knots, at 48-degree down pitch and 60-degree right bank 142 after takeoff. The CCAA determined the probable causes of the crash to be loss of control of the aircraft as a result of spatial disorientation. After a long slow roll, during which no instrument scanning was done, and in the absence of external visual references in a dark night. Inadequate operational control, lack of crew coordination, coupled with the non-adherence to procedures of flight monitoring, confusion in the utilization of the autopilot, have also contributed to cause this situation. Nationalities of the victims: Kenya Airways disclosed a passenger list indicating that the 105 passengers on board were citizens of 26 different countries, most of them from Cameroon. 9 of the occupants were Kenyan. 17 passengers boarded in Abidjan, while the rest did so in Douala. The 6 flight crew members were all Kenyan. An accompanying engineer and a deadheading flight attendant were among the passengers. Notable passengers: Campbell Utton, CEO Mountain Group Cameroon; Sarah Stewart, CFO Mountain Group Cameroon; Amal Chauhan, Director of PAL Products, India; Anthony Mitchell, Associated Press reporter based in Kenya; Siaka Diarra, President West African French-speaking Zone, African Union of the Blind, President Association of the Blind Burkina Faso. See also. Flash Airlines Flight 604, Kenya Airways Flight 431. References. External links, Cameroon Civil Aviation Authority, Technical Investigation. French, Official Report, Official Report. Declaration of the Minister of State, Minister of Transport. Wadham, Joel. Crash de Kenya Airways, l'inquiété poursuite. Galab, Myriel. Mbanga Pongo, Les circonstances du crash demeurent un mystère. Kenya Airways website information, May 9, http web archive.org 20070509002518, May 13, http web archive.org 20070513121401 index html, May 16, http web archive.org 20070516121429, full list of passengers on flight KQ 507. NTSB Factual Report, Reconstructing the Last Moments of Kenya Airways Flight 507 May 11, 2007 IHT.